It's Friday, June 3. In the headlines, 10 domestic violence intervention centers to be opened. New traffic ticketing system to be expanded. Regionally, government says no to UWI on a proposal to increase tuition fees. And in sports, Cricket West Indies releases summer tour dates. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government continues to promote a culture of ownership by putting titles in the hands of rightful landowners across Jamaica through the systematic land registration program. Speaking at a recent systematic land registration titling ceremony in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, Prime Minister Holness underscored that the government will not just wait on persons to visit the National Land Agency to register their titles, but instead will approach citizens systematically to address the issue of land ownership. The Prime Minister says, quote, "I am confident and I feel very happy that we now have a system in place that will ensure every square inch of land in Jamaica falls under a public register that secures the property rights and interest of the persons who own it, and that is a major achievement for Jamaica 60. 10 domestic violence intervention centers, DVICs, have been established at police stations island-wide. The announcement was made by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang during his contribution to the 2022-2023 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives this week.
It's an issue, domestic violence, gender violence, and it needs sensitization by professionals. And we're doing that. And it just recognized we have gone a long way in doing that. 544 civilians were trained as first responders in domestic violence across the island. And we are expanding more. In addition to the 100 police officers who are specially trained to manage the domestic violence intervention centers.
He says in addition to the established DVICs, there has been the hosting of domestic violence pop-up clinics island-wide by police to sensitize the public on domestic violence issues. According to the Transport Ministry's Road Safety Unit, 484 persons lost their lives as a result of crashes on Jamaica's roadways in 2021. Most of them were because of speeding. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang is confident that there will be changes in the behavior of drivers on the nation's roads as the new digital traffic ticketing system is rolled out across the island. He gave an update in the lower house this week. Raquel Robinson reports.
The pilot of the new electronic traffic ticket management system, TTMS, was launched on December 30, 2021 with 100 handheld devices. Minister Chang says 72 ticketing machines are now being used.
Disorder on our roads is one of the sure signs of indiscipline and disorder. And it is no question if we can get appropriate quality order on our roadways. It's about impact on the entire character of society.
The minister notes that before the implementation of the new traffic ticketing system, there were up to 340,000 tickets within the court system that could not be accounted for. He is confident that this new system will help prevent that in the future.
In the first 90 days, they did 25,000 tickets or thereabouts. I think today they have about 30. They have. And the process, we collected over $18 million, so the investment in doing it better has a high rate of return.
Currently, traffic tickets can be paid at the Tax Administration of Jamaica TAJ office, whether online or inline, within 21 days, after which it becomes a court matter.
Bamboo Avenue in St. Elizabeth is being restored. The popular scenic route is located on the main South Coast Highway between Middle Quarters and Locovia. The avenue was planted out with Bambusa vulgaris, a species of bamboo which was the largest variety introduced in Jamaica. Funds for the rehabilitation is being provided by the Jamaica Tourism Enhancement Fund. Gabriel Thompson has that report.
The Holland Bamboo Nursery has been established adjacent to the corridor to ensure sustainable growth of the plants in the area. Agriculture students have been engaged to maintain the nursery and carry out research.
So we're happy enough to get some funding from TEF to assist with our replanting effort. And one part of the replanting effort is that we know that sometimes it's going to become a time. We had some recent fires in the last 2 years where huge clumps of bamboo went down. Like you have one whole section went down. And to adequately have bamboo to just replant is a kind of, although bamboo is a very fast growing plant, it takes a little while. So that is why we said when we got to our project, we would put a nursery very adjacent to the grove so that when we have those situations, we'll be able to replenish the bamboo quickly.
Executive Director of the TEF, Dr. Kerry Wallace, says the restoration is as a result of the thinning of strands due to hurricane damage and recent fires at the location, which have left several bamboo plants damaged.
We had noticed that it was thinning to a certain extent. We had noticed that there was depletion caused by former hurricanes. We noticed that there were fires as well that had burnt out sections of it. And of course, the beauty and value of the attraction was at risk. Of course, we couldn't have that. And therefore, when the Ministry of Agriculture looked at a project to restore and to renew, we were in support of it. And we're happy to be here today as a demonstration of that support and to have the actual launch of it.
The bamboo along the avenue, which is also called Holland bamboo, was planted in the 18th century and it is a heritage site. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett praised the move to restore it.
So with its cool atmosphere, the Bamboo Avenue would also serve as a picnic area for travelers to pause and enjoy the delicacies of fish and bami, or the bag of juicy, spicy shrimp that they would purchase earlier as they passed through another noted spot, Middle Quarters en route. So Holland Bamboo also evoked the desire to take postcard photos of a very beautiful landscape.
Floyd Green says the restoration process is already being seen. However, he says he would want to see more investment in St. Elizabeth's tourism offerings.
St. Elizabeth has given some of the most iconic tourism destinations you can think about. Whether it be the coolest bar in the world, Floyd Pelican's Bar out in the sea, or the best peppered shrimp in the world, right there in Middle Quarters, and I'm inviting you all to go and buy some peppered shrimp when you leave here, or the beautiful Wyeth Falls. In this belt, and I haven't even mentioned the Rum Tour, in this belt, we have such great iconic locations that if we were really to channel the funds to develop them, then this would be a place that we would see so much more of our tourism dollar. So I see this as phase one. Phase two, Minister, I have some background knowledge. So we need a park in the local. We don't just want people to come and take picture and move off.
Renowned journalist, playwright and author Barbara Grudon was laid to rest on Thursday. The mass resurrection at St. Margaret's Anglican Church in St. Andrew was attended by a wide cross-section of Jamaicans, including members of the theatre community, politicians, the business community, as well as the media. As she eulogized her mother, Anya Gludon Nelson highlighted her love for Jamaica. She used the scene from her mother's play, Angus Morning, to highlight Mrs. Gludon's mantra that everyone deserved their own level of respect. Born Barbara Goodison on February 5, 1935 in Malvern, St. Elizabeth, she attended St. George's Elementary School, St. Andrew High School for Girls in St. Andrew, and the University of Iowa. Mrs. Gludon was a playwright working with the Little Theatre Movement pantomime production. She was also known for hosting the call-in radio program Hotline on Radio Jamaica. She also worked as a journalist with the Gleaner Company and a columnist for the Jamaica Observer. Mrs. Gludon also served the Diocese of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands for many years. In the business report, we'll hear about a new player in telecoms market, plus your regular market update with Danita Rodney.
A new player has entered the Jamaican telecoms market. Barbadian firm Neptune Communications has received the green light to begin operating in Jamaica. Founder and CEO of Neptune, Julian Jordan, in a recent interview says Neptune will provide dependable, independent redundancy for several major government and corporate clients to ensure more reliable connectivity in the country. The company also expects to have the ability to provide resilient connection to entities if a hurricane, earthquake, or just a traffic accident knocks out service. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, June 2, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.71. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $125.02. The pound sterling traded for $195.18. And the euro sold for an average of $167.67. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Thursday's trading session. The JSE index declined by 1,933 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index declined by 11 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index declined by 1,911 points to close at over 400,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 2,414 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 109 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 49 declined, and 21 traded firm. Stocks advanced for CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. The following companies represent the overall volume leaders: Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares, and Siboney Group Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the only active security trading 173 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the sole security trading 10,000 shares. In market data for oil prices slipped after OPEC decided to increase production targets by slightly more than planned, although tight global supply and rising demand as China eases COVID restrictions limited the decline. Brent crude fell 42 cents or 0.4% to $117.19 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude slipped 40 cents or 0.3% to $116.47 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency's natural disaster strategies have not only prepared them for COVID-19, but to handle other health-related hazards like monkeypox. That's the word from SEDIMA's Executive Director, Elizabeth Riley. Speaking at a press conference about the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season, she notes that several procedures have been established in conjunction with CARPA since 2020.
You can have COVID-19, you can have monkeypox, you can have different strains of influenza, and there may even be other diseases out there not yet known, named, but to come to the fore. So the principle with which we have addressed the health-related hazards is through the lens of how to address epidemic and pandemic.
Ms. Riley gave an update on some of the areas where they have been focusing on for the hurricane season.
This year, we hosted 7 national-level exercises within participating states, and the intention of these exercises was to really go through their national plans to make sure that the arrangements within those plans were as they should be, but also to identify any areas that require strengthening. In addition, we've been working with our states to strengthen the logistics and relief management arrangements, and we have had 5 workshops so far this year. Specifically on the SEDEMA side, we have held our flagship regional exercise Synergy. This took place on the 22nd of May and focused on a regional response to a multi-hazard, multi-island impact. We've also been investing, as is our custom, in the training of emergency response deployment team personnel. At SEDEMA, we've also upgraded our internal telecommunications infrastructure with new HF transceivers. And you would recognize that communications tends to be one of the first areas that's affected when we are impacted by hazards.
Ms. Riley also notes that governments across the region are doing all they can to prepare for another above-normal Atlantic hurricane season. As a result, the agency encouraged individual householders to do the same. She notes that a humanitarian ship will be on standby in the region's waters, fully equipped to support countries impacted by weather events and other disasters.
For the first time, the Caribbean is being provided with assistance in the strengthening of its disaster readiness from a non-governmental organization called Global Support and Development, GSD. This is a rapid disaster response and humanitarian organization which functions out of Amsterdam. As a part of the GSD's Disaster Preparedness and Response Initiative, it will permanently post an 80-meter humanitarian vessel in the Caribbean region, and this state-of-the-art vessel is equipped with an operations center, an onboard medical facility with dedicated cold storage laboratory, and a desalination plant with the capability to produce up to 70,000 liters of fresh water. The vessel, titled the motor vessel Dawn, is a purpose-built and self-sufficient ship which will ensure timely and high quality support to any impacted state without cost to countries in the Caribbean.
The Pan American Health Organization says health systems in the Americas are being further tested by spikes in public health while recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic. These include respiratory infections, viral hepatitis, and monkeypox. Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, is telling countries that urgent investment in health is essential.
Countries should expand surveillance to monitor other respiratory viruses, not just COVID. Most countries have integrated COVID-19 surveillance with efforts to track the influenza virus. We should build on that capacity to quickly identify the different respiratory viruses that are circulating in the Americas. It is important to note that the same public health measures that protect people from COVID-19 also protect people from the flu. But this recent surge represents a risk for our health systems.
Dr. Etienne says countries in the Americas reported a 10.4% jump in COVID-19 cases and a 14% increase in deaths over the past week.
At the sub-regional level, all sub-regions except the Caribbean and Atlantic Ocean islands have seen increases both in cases and deaths. The highest increase in cases was in South America, with a 43.1% increase, and the highest increase in deaths was in Central America, with a 21.3% rise. Cases in the region have been increasing for the past 6 weeks.
Haiti has named a candidate for the position of director of the Pan American Health Organization to replace the Dominica-born Dr. Carissa Etienne, who has served 2 5-year terms. The Haitian candidate, Dr. Florence Duperval-Guillam, a former acting prime minister and former minister of public health and population, is among 6 candidates announced by the PAHO Executive Committee. The other candidates are from Brazil, Panama, Mexico, Colombia, and Uruguay. PAHO says the election of the director of Pan American Sanitary Bureau, PAHO's executive arm, will take place during the 30th Pan American Sanitary Conference, which will be held September 26 to September 30, 2022. PAHO is the specialized health agency of the Inter-American System and serves as the World Health Organization's regional office for the Americas. This year, PAHO marks its 120th anniversary of active work, promoting health and well-being throughout the region. The government of Trinidad and Tobago said no to the University of the West Indies' proposal to increase tuition fees for the 2022-2023 school year and instead encouraged the UWI to consider alternatives. TTT Live's Ayana Carter has more.
Finance Minister Colum Imbert said following the review of the university's proposal to increase tuition fees, the committee comprising of members of parliament decided this was not how the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus should proceed. According to the minister, UWI has found it difficult to conduct its affairs with the annual government allocation, which he revealed was approximately $700 million annually, $500 million to the university and $200 million in gate funding associated with UWI students. Minister Imbert said the government can afford a 10% reduction to its current allocation.
We are of the view that the University of the West Indies needs to look at the courses that they want the government and the country to pay for. We're not going to tell them what courses to put on, but we believe that they need to look at all these courses that they're offering and decide which ones the government should pay for. That's our response to their proposal that they increase tuition fees, because we think that increase in tuition fees should be a last resort. UWI has to look within first and see whether they have not overextended themselves.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly stated that concerns were also raised by the UWI Student Guild on the proposed increase, including the impact it would have on the student population. The minister stated that the St. Augustine campus has been asked to conduct an in-depth cost-benefit analysis and a cost-efficacy analysis.
A number of the campuses, this is not a UE St. Augustine issue, this is a UE regional issue. A number of the campuses are running deficit budgets for a number of years. UE St. Augustine has actually been quite reasonable in adjusting to suit, but because we have had, as a government, to reduce the funding, that would put them in a position where they would be in a deficit for 2021-22. And so their proposal was to bring them out of that deficit, but considering the impact on the country has been through a very harrowing time. At this point, we would want them to focus on looking at where they can restrict their expenditure and their recurrent expenditure, rather than at this point transferring it to the student.
The UWI St. Augustine campus has a current enrollment of approximately 17,000 students and offers 300 courses. The university has not increased its tuition fees in 21 years and currently offers the lowest fees among the UWI campuses in the region. Minister Imbert said under the current financial circumstances, the GATE program, established in 2004, will be adjusted to match with the country's current financial realities. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
A top regional COP has sounded the warning about the impact of globalization on regional security. Aside from the benefits to trade and tourism, Commissioner of Police in the Bahamas, Paul Roll, says it has brought several risks. He shed light on the matter during the 36th Annual General Meeting and Conference of Caribbean Commissioners of Police hosted by the Bahamas.
These new cross-border and cyber risks necessitate new skills and more collaboration among the countries of our region. In an ever-changing economic climate, political, technological, and social, it is incumbent upon us as law enforcement agencies all over the region to cultivate an innovative culture.
Commissioner Roll says it's vital that regional forces repair their image in the climate of growing skepticism of the police and their actions.
This, however, can only be accomplished via increased national and community engagement, police training, and improved tools for detecting and correcting non-policing behavior. As a result, the ACCP will need to assist its members in developing projects that will support training, the development of policing policies and procedures, and community involvement research.
Over 40 candidates have been selected for the upcoming general elections in Grenada and its dependencies. 15 candidates were selected by the incumbent New National Party and the main opposition National Democratic Congress. 5 parties in total and 1 independent will contest the poll. This will be the last general election for Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. MTV News reports.
According to the political leader, this is the biggest nomination day witnessed by him, and he appreciates all the love from the people of St. George Northwest.
I thought we'd have about 20, 30 people going there with me, which is what we had the last time. But there's a mood in the country now which is stronger than we have ever seen. And I think people understand the importance of this election, and I think that's why you see them coming out in such numbers. So I'm elated. I'm elated. It'd have to be a national disaster to reconsider, because my plan is to ensure the continuation of leadership of the New National Party. So that's my role in the next few years, is to be involved in the choosing of the new leader of the New National Party. But I'm being wrong. Some people get the impression as if I'm going away or something, I'm disappearing. If God spare me and give me the strength that He has given me so far, I will be there to support, advise, and work with the new leadership of the New National Party.
Meanwhile, leader of the National Democratic Congress was in St. David for nomination day. He spoke of his commitment to the people of Grenada.
True and honest representation that is about the people. We need to put the people of Grenada first, we need to put our communities first, and we need to make sure that we are accountable to our communities.
In sports, Jamaican Brandon King smashed an unbeaten 91 as West Indies defeated the Netherlands by 5 wickets in the second one-day international in Amstelveen on Thursday. Chasing a target of 215, the Windies were 99 for 5 at one stage before King and Carty, who scored 43 not out, took them across the line for 217 for 5 with 27 balls to spare. Earlier, the Netherlands, despite a bright start, could only muster 214 runs in 48.3 overs. Akil Hussain took 4 for 39 and Alzari Joseph 2 for 30, while there was 1 wicket apiece for Anderson Phillip, Hayden Walsh and Nkrumah Bonner. Brandon King was named player of the match.
Obviously going out there, wickets falling around me as I went out there. I just had to try and dig in and stay there for the team. Knowing that I was one of the last recognised batsmen at the time with Casey, I told him that we just had to stay out there and, you know, we weren't chasing a big total. So it was good that we just could keep it simple. As cricketers, we know when times are good, you have to try and cash in and make sure you get as much runs as possible. That's just what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to cash in and I feel good out there, so I'm just trying to capitalise on that good form.
The West Indies have an unassailable 2-0 series lead with the final match set for Saturday. Cricket West Indies is calling it the hottest summer of cricket as Bangladesh, India and New Zealand visit the Caribbean from June 16 to August 21. The list of fixtures features 30 days of men's international cricket comprising 2 tests, 9 one-day internationals and 11 T20 internationals at 10 venues. To start things off, Bangladesh will tour the Caribbean from June 16 to July 16 and will face the West Indies in 2 test matches in Antigua and St. Lucia as part of the ICC World Test Championship. The 2 tests will be followed by 3 T20s and 3 ODIs in Dominica and Guyana. India's white ball tour will commence on July 22 in Trinidad and Tobago with 3 ODIs from July 22 to July 27 at Queen's Park Oval, followed by 5 T20s in 3 separate venues, including a return to the Broward County Cricket Stadium in Lauderhill, Florida, for 2 matches on August 6 and August 7. West Indies' summer of cricket climaxes with New Zealand's white ball tour of the Caribbean, which has been rescheduled from 2020 following the COVID-19 pandemic. The Black Caps will arrive in Jamaica to play 3 T20s from Wednesday, August 10 to Sunday, August 14. Barbados will host New Zealand for 3 day and night ODIs slated for August 17, 19 and 21 at Kensington Oval. All 9 CG United ODIs are part of the ICC ODI Super League, with the West Indies aiming to qualify directly for the ICC World Cup in 2023. Before we go, let's find out what's coming up in this week's edition of Entertainment Recap. Hey Alicia, what's the scoop?
What's up, girl? On this week's Entertainment Recap, we all the way in Dubai. Shaggy oration speech happens beautifully. Barris, Baby Sham, and Mr. Vegas share the best of the best 16 staging. Birthday shoutouts, new music, and a whole heap more. So join us this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on PBC Jamaica.
Thanks, Alicia. And that's the news on PBC Jamaica. Remember to follow us on all our social media pages at PBC Jamaica. Thanks for watching.